Thanks for joining me on 10 Topics today. We're talking about growing up ghetto. I'm going to talk to you about my growing up experience, how I grew up. Let's tell you about my childhood. First and foremost, look what I got looking at me right here. I got Booyaka. Yep, that's right. That's my Winnie the Pooh. That's my Winnie. I had Winnie the Pooh, slept with Winnie the Pooh for, let's see, how long did I sleep with Winnie? Probably till I was like 14, which is a long time to be sleeping with a bear. His ear broke, and I never wanted my mom to perform surgery on him. So he always has this banged up ear. His smile's like there, but the thing about him is he like hugs you back when you hug. My Winnie. So that's my Winnie the Pooh right there. If you just tuned in and joined us, you saw me hugging a teddy bear. So I grew up with this bear, Winnie. This was my friend, my confidant, my teddy bear. I was 3 years old. My grandma gave it to him. My dad's mom gave it to me. I was 3 years old for my third birthday, and I'm 45 now. So for 42 years, this has been my boy Winnie. And one of my favorite pictures I took is when Milana was really attached to this little dinosaur, and she has like a little unicorn, and Remo took the dinosaur from her. So the three of them together, I have a picture of the three of them. That's the little gang, the little cuddle gang. So this is my Winnie. It was my confidant for a long time. I didn't have a lot of friends, and I think that's why I stayed with hugging him for so long because he was like like I would talk to him like my therapy, I guess. This is my my therapy dog was a Winnie the Pooh. So I love my Winnie. Winnie, you could join us for the this. So I grew up with the Winnie. I used to wet the bed till I was 12, so that was fun. So I probably peed on Winnie a little bit. That's right. I don't care. I'll tell all of you that I peed the bed. I did. Nothing to be ashamed of. That stuff happens. I heard it's hereditary too. Found out my dad was a bedwetter. These things happen. So my son probably gonna be a bedwetter. And the beats go on. What are we gonna do about it, everybody? This is the way life is. Sometimes you wet the bed. Hey, sometimes you don't. So um, I what else about me when I was little? My one of my favorite things that I got when I was little was I don't know if they make these anymore. They probably do. It was a bed tent. So it was a fitted sheet that had tent poles in it that you could make your bed a tent and you would get in your bed and sleep in it. That was didn't feel safe, but it was nice. My dogs are outside. So that was the bed tent. I had that growing up. It was one of my favorite things. We used to make fan tents when I was little. If you guys don't know about that, I did this with my kids. You can actually buy fan tents now, like on Amazon. But my mom and dad used to make the janky version where they would they would duct tape down a top sheet and then put a box fan in it, and then the fan, when you turn it on, would raise the tent up, and you basically would just play in a wind tunnel. And we used to do that. I didn't have carpet in my room, so we used to set up in my room. Me and my sisters. My sisters had carpet, and we would have so much fun and spend all day in that wind tunnel just with little toys. Like we bring stuff in there and play in it. So I found it on Amazon. It's basically a plastic version of that. You attach the fan to it, and that was my kids loved it and they play with it all the time. And that was a little reminiscent of that. The other toy I had that I was able to get my kids was Pipeworks. So they were basically these PVC pipes that had connectors and you could build whatever you want. And I used to build like swords and shields and like they had wheels and I built a go-kart that you could run in and stuff and then all these climbing things. So they were a lot of fun and I play with that with my kids now and Remo always says, "Dad, we play with the pipes." So that was fun growing up. What else growing up about me? I grew up in Staten Island on Harbor Road. I had a big backyard. And my favorite thing about my backyard was we always got to play. My next door neighbor, best friend, Jason Joseph, he had a huge yard too. And we were connected just by a 4-foot chain link fence. So we'd always be able to hop the fences and stuff. So we'd play tag and manhunt and all these. And his yard basically had a big field in the back. We would play soccer, football, kickball, everything. Spud. If you don't know what Spud is, Spud was fun. So Spud was a ball. You had a ball that you threw up in the air and you yelled something from a category. So you'd pick a category and you'd say, okay, let's say fictional characters. And everybody would secretly pick one except the person that was it. And they would stand on the other side of the yard. And then people would walk over and they'd be like, okay, they would be like Winnie the Pooh, Mickey Mouse, Bugs Bunny, or Frankenstein. And then the person with the ball would throw it in the air and yell whatever name that was, one of the names. And so they yelled Frankenstein and they ran. The person who was Frankenstein had to catch it and peg somebody with the ball. That was a real fun game we used to play all the time. Spud. I don't know why it's called Spud. Hmm. These are the questions that you get on topics. with Joe G. So I don't know what to tell you. 10 topics is going to bring out these big questions. Why was the game called Spud? We'll never know. It's impossible to figure out. Yeah, that was me growing up. I used to play outside a lot. I did creative writing, which was fun. I wanted to be a video game programmer for a while, so I had a little journal where I would design my video games. I was like 8 or 9 years old. I played video games. Of course, I had a Nintendo was my favorite thing. Then I got a Sega Genesis. I loved that as well. Loved Sonic growing up. I wasn't really a big eater growing up, actually. Dessert guy. My birthday was in June. Still is. The birthdays are funny that way. My birthday's still in June. My birthday was in June, so my birthday's coming up June 5th. Send gifts. Hey, my birthday was in June, and I didn't like ice cream cake, and I was a summer birthday, so it would always be like an ice cream cake at my party, and I would never eat it. I didn't. I always loved an Italian dessert so I was an Italian dessert guy. So that was good. This is Winnie the Pooh. Hi, everybody. So let's get into the questions that you guys asked. So I start with the questions that you guys asked on Twitter and Instagram, and then I'll hop over to the ones that you guys ask here live. So, Real Eric Thacker asks, what was your favorite TV shows as a kid? Wow. Saturday morning cartoons was great. I mean, and after school cartoons too. I loved Thundercats. I was big. I loved a lot of cartoons, so cartoons. But as far as television shows, sitcom wise, I loved Tim Allen's show. I loved it so much. I forgot the name of it right now. I love the Tim Allen show. I grew up with Different Strokes, Facts of Life, Growing Pains, Who's the Boss. Those were all like sitcoms I watched religiously. I loved all them. Mork and Mindy. I loved the show Laugh-In. I loved the show, The Carol Burnett Show. I loved Benny Hill. Google all these. The Carol Burnett Show was the best sketch comedy show ever to be on television. The chemistry between that cast is unbelievable. The Carol Burnett Show. If you don't know the Carol Burnett Show, do yourself a favor, hop online, watch a couple bits from it and stuff. It's just old school funny comedy with some of the kings and queens of slapstick. And Tim Conway would just absolutely kill me. Carol Burnett, they would just kill me how good they are. The Honeymooners with Jackie Gleason. If I used to watch that was old TV for me when I was younger. So I used to watch some classic stuff. So that, and then as I got older, The Sopranos on HBO, I loved. Um, that was definitely like a huge series for me because that was before you could binge watch. So that was like appointment television where you had to like watch the show. So those are some shows for me when I was growing up. Some kid shows I watched. PP at PP Balloons on Twitter asks, "Did you go to any fun outings with your family? Road trips?" I drove down to Florida when I did a lot of trips with my family with my parents, which was a lot of fun. My dad was the vice president of a big insurance firm, life insurance firm, and they always did big conventions. And they went to places like Puerto Rico, Hawaii, so we got to go on some of those trips, which was nice. But we didn't have a lot of money growing up, so my father like took his kids to his work trips. So we'd go and like have to stay in the hotel while he was working, and then have dinner together. Um, and and he would tack a couple days on, which was kind of cool. But the big thing for me was I liked what did I like? The road trip stuff. Like we drove down to Florida once, which was really fun, and I brought Winnie with me, and I did this song to "Nasty Boys" is the name of the song by Janet Jackson, and it goes, "Nasty boys don't mean a thing. Oh, you nasty boys don't mean a thing to me." And I put Winnie in the middle, and me and my sister Carla just talked about this a little while ago, and I went like I used to pop up Winnie, and I'd go, "Nasty bears." And I would make them laugh so hard, and I would just make nasty bears. I'd make my Winnie dance, uh, and that was one of the most fun parts of that road trip. On Twitter, at Lee Samantha asks, as a kid, were you always outgoing and extroverted, or did you? No, I was not. I was not. I was a geeky, quiet kid growing up when I was younger. I did not really have a handle on my sense of humor. I didn't know how to make people laugh. I was always a leader. I always stuck with and led with a couple of the people. I always probably think I was a leader. Besides like eighth grade, I went through a really bad following stint, and I still feel bad about the way I made some people feel, if we're all going to be honest with each other. But I think for the most part, I did gravitate as a leader in my groups growing up. but I was definitely an introvert, and I was like, I like to laugh and I liked comedy, but I didn't really know how to make people laugh, and I was always quirky. I was like a little geeky and quirky, So, but then I got into improv in high school, and when I started making people laugh and realizing how to do it and making it a little bit of a skill to my natural talent, that was really fun. So that's when I came out extrovert, probably in high school. Now, don't try to introvert me. I dare you. You can't introvert me. Tell him, Winnie. You can't do it. See what he says? Check yourselves, fools. Easy, Winnie. Easy, 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 Winnie. Easy. Um, let's see what else. What was your first gaming system? Asked Leatherneck 115. My first was Atari. Loved Atari, loved Missile Command. My cousin had a game in his basement. My cousin Jamie had a game called Kaboom, and it used the wheel, and you had to go, and it was this prisoner was dropping bombs, and you had to catch the bombs so you didn't break them and go out of prison. So Kaboom was a fun one. But I was always a stand-up console, like arcade guy. I loved going to arcades. And my parents used to be on a bowling team, and they used to take me. They used to do a bowling league on Thursday nights at 7 p.m. So that'd be my late night to stay up, and I would go to the bowling alley with them. My dad would give me a roll of quarters, a $10 roll of quarters, and be like, "Go have fun," and I would do that. So that would always be fun. At Emily Nasberg, what was your favorite and least favorite subject in school? Math was my favorite. Least favorite was history. Yeah, for sure. I was just naturally pretty good at math and history. I kind of found boring, and also I don't remember facts of stuff, but I'll remember random things like the assassination of Archbishop Franz Ferdinand, or Archduke Bishop Archduke. See, I don't even remember that. He got killed, and it started a war. Um, what at Sue Buckner asks, how did you develop your passion for sweets? Was your mom a great baker? No, my mom couldn't bake for Mom couldn't bake for she couldn't bake at all. And I think it just came from the enjoyment my family had around sweets. There was always a pastry table and always a big round. Desserts was always an event growing up in my house. So I think that definitely led to it. So that's part of it. Let's move over to my Instagram. So on Instagram, at Casey Bonin asks, what would a Gatto family dinner be like? Insanity. It's loud, it's long. We sit around that table forever, and we have so much fun. I invite you to come and join a Gatto family dinner. My sisters come to the table. We will spend hours just sitting, laughing, and my nieces and nephews want to sit with us and hang out. So it's really fun. I really enjoy it, and my kids are coming around that too, where they don't rush to get up from the table, which I really like. Um, okay, at Colts fan 6842, what was your favorite relative growing up and why? Who was your favorite relative growing up and why? My sister Gina was my oldest sister Gina for sure has a special place in my heart as always, being just awesome to me, and she's 6 years older than me, so I was always like a little baby bro, which was cool. I didn't get along with my middle sister, who we basically hated each other until I was like 14. Um, but she's great now. She's my best friend. I love her, Carla. And as far as outside relatives, my brother from another mother is my cousin Michael, Michael Polano. He's the best, and that's it. He's probably my favorite relative. Um, at Smiley Abbey, what was your dream job as a kid? Architect. I was good at Legos and Lincoln Logs. Wanted to be an architect. Still think that's what I would have done if this whole thing didn't happen, if I didn't get suckered into taking accounting. Um, at Sabrina T16, what was the most important values that you are teaching your children that your parents also taught you? Honesty. Don't be a liar. Don't be a liar. Once you break people's trust, it's terrible. I think that's a big thing. I pride myself on trying to do that as best I can to shoot straight. I think that's big. The other thing is family. Siblings are the most important relationships in your life. You and your siblings, because that's where you're gonna end up. I learned that the hard way with my sister and losing my parents. They become your core. So I think that's really important that you focus on your siblings, try to have a good relationship with your siblings. I love that Milana and Remo see how close my sisters are and how close they are to their cousins and how close they are to each other. Like they genuinely are there for each other. So I think that's pretty important. And I think that's what I'm passing on to them. And then we have our family motto: be brave, be kind, be a Gatto. That's the way to live life for me. Don't be afraid to try things, do things, to fail. Be kind. There's too many jerks out there. Don't be one of them. And then be everything that makes us great, which is just trying to be the best that you can be, and that's making us a Gatto. So I guess that answers that question. What was your best memories with your dad? Asks Hannah Rosalie's Cordova. Oh, thank you. That's good. Talking about my dad. My dad was funny and silly, but he was very much the biggest thing about my dad, I think, is I think a lot of kids have this about their fathers, but I don't know if it's true. But no one ever spoke ill of him. And when my father died, like people were coming to, he knew he was dying. He was home in hospice, dying from cancer. And people were crying to him. He was making people feel better. And then at his funeral, it was just insane how many people there were that came. Um, more than Far more. And my mother was super popular, far more than my mother. Um, but it was just crazy. So I think my favorite memories with him is definitely going to get pastries. Hitting the bakery up with dad was my favorite thing in the world. We used to go shopping we used to go get my haircut, and next to the haircutter was the pastries for Sundays, and we'd get our Sunday pastries and bring them home. I talk about that in my book, The Dog Father. I tell a lot of stories about my dad because my love of pastries definitely comes from my fat father. He was also 6'4". I'm 5'10", so he was fat but tall, so he didn't look fat. But he had a fat like personality, and he ate a lot. I'm fat and shorter, so that's why. Like my belly's truncated, and his belly got stretched out. But he also had a big belly, which was funny on my dad. He had the skinniest arm and legs, lanky as a mofo, but he had like a belly. He looked like a lowercase b, with long legs. That's a good question. Okay. What was your most important values? Oh no, I saw that. What traits did you pick up from your mother and father, if any? We always say in my family that I'm a mix of both my parents, like a perfect mix. My mom was loud and crazy. My father was funny and smart. Um, and I feel like I had a good mix of both of them. So I think my craziness definitely comes from the Amato side, which is my mother's side. And I think my dry humor and my deadpan and all that kind of stuff and my knowing how to make people laugh comes from my father. People laughed with and at my mother. My father made people laugh. Does that make sense? I think so. That's actually a good way to say that. I've never said that. Yeah. My dad used to like to make people laugh and was able to make people laugh. My mother laughed with people and people laughed at her because she was so crazy. Okay. And at underscore TY underscore, what was your first car? I had a blue Saturn that actually had decals, magnetic decals of Bugs Bunny and Wile E. Coyote on it. That's right. I was cool in college. I had gotten a blue Saturn. My dad knew a guy who had a couple Saturns laying around. Got my mom a white one and me a blue one. It was a bright turquoise Saturn with Bugs Bunny decals on it, and that is 100% true. All right. So that's a little bit about growing up Gatto. So I hope that everybody out there is doing okay and feeling good. And I'm sending much love to you as you're growing up as yourselves. So thanks for joining me on 10 Topics Live.